How's this for a little pre-game action? So the Dallas Stars are playing off against the Vegas Golden Knights later tonight, and Dallas is going to try to get back up in the series and tie things up 1-1 before heading over to Vegas. But heading into today's game, we are talking about a guy who is not on their roster. This is Lian Bichsel, a defenseman who was drafted by the Dallas Stars in the 18th overall spot in the 2022 NHL Entry Draft. He's 19 years old, from Switzerland, and he's 6'6", 234. This is a big guy who's already signed to his ELC with Dallas and who has made an impact for Regla BK in the SHL. The reason we are talking about Bichsel in today's video is because of the news earlier today that he actually has gotten banned from his national team. And we'll get into all of this and why as the video goes on. But before we talk about that, Bichsel is indeed a first-round prospect, as we had talked about. He plays with energy, violence even, and that will endear him to any coach. He takes hits to make plays, but mostly likes to dish them, especially in neutral zone pinches. He has great habits all over the ice, scanning and using his stick to deny space and switch on his check. Lian Bichsel is a behemoth of a human being, and playing for Regla BK in the SHL this year, he had 4 points in 29 games played and 6 points in 12 games in the postseason. He also had 7 points in 16 games with the Texas Stars in the AHL. Not to mention that he was over 2 penalty minutes a game, in the AHL, and roughly at a penalty minute per game in the SHL. Lian Bichsel has been a very physical, noteworthy presence on the blue line. Last year, he had a penalty minute a game too, getting 42 games played and 6 points for Lection's IF. Now, the thing about Bichsel is that if you take a look at some of his international play, he was bred and developed in the Swiss system with EHC BLBN. He also played for Olten, and then he headed over to Sweden. But during this time in Sweden, he did play for a few different Swiss teams internationally. He played at the World Juniors once. He played at the World Under-18s once as well. He played in separate other tournaments, but never really had an extended role with any of the top IAHF tournaments. Now, you can see that there were some other games that he had played. He played in the cancelled World Junior team in 2022. He played for the Hlinka Gretzky in 2021. He was a part of different versions of Team Switzerland. But we had ourselves word from earlier today that Lian Bichsel has actually been excluded from the national team until 2026. Right now it's 2024. We're seeing some of the national teams have their rosters announced. We had seen Team Slovakia announce that Slavkovsky, Nemec, Pospisil are going. We saw Team USA lay out a few guys like Trevor Zegras, Cole Caulfield, Luke Hughes, but Lian Bichsel is excluded from the Swiss team till 2026 because he had declined already 2 calls to participate in the World Junior Championships. This source is from Le Matin, and if you go over to the profile here for Bichsel, he did play in the World Juniors once in 2023. He didn't play in the World Juniors this season, and if you want to go over what the repercussions are for that, here it is. As Le Matin reports, in a press conference in Zurich, the head coach of the Swiss national team, Patrick Fischer, announced that Lian Bichsel will not be wearing the Swiss jersey until after the 2026 World Championships, which takes place in Switzerland. The young defender is paying the price for having declined the call-ups to participate at the World Juniors with the U20 team in the past years. Fischer explained that also the Swiss team's player council, made up of 8 international people, had spoken out against Bichel's reinstatement. So with this in mind, it kind of goes out there and shows just how important these international hockey tournaments can be to some of these countries and how much response there is to the idea of a guy deciding not to play. Lian Bichsel, playing for Regla and Texas this season in the SHL and AHL, you could say has been a pretty good move for his development, but not participating at the World Juniors this season because, hey, he's only 19, he still would have been eligible. This would have been his last year of eligibility for the World Juniors. The decision to stay back and not play seemed to have rubbed a lot of folks in the Swiss body of hockey the wrong way. And it's understandable to see why. Take a look at some of the other defensemen that these teams housed. There were some guys that were doing really good things, like Adam Engstrom, Canadiens prospect. Kapla had himself a good run too this season for Regla. And if you go over to the Texas Stars, sure, they had a lot of guys up front doing well, but Derek Pouliot was really good, so was Christian Kyrou. There were a lot of guys who had some significant damage on the blue line. So the idea that Bichsel does not want to represent his team internationally, he wants to stick around, you could debate that there's some reasoning behind that might not be too apparent right away. Now, this article was posted on the R Hockey subreddit, and I did want to go out there and read some of the things here. Lian Bichsel really does march to the beat of his own drum. He supposedly left the AHL in the middle of the season because he wanted to play hockey closer to home, so he moved back to Europe. Then, when the World Juniors were going on in Sweden, where he was already playing, he didn't want to play for the Swiss national team. Nothing egregious, but he doesn't seem to care about hitting the usual milestones that most prospects look forward to. He's only 19, so maybe he wasn't just mature enough to live on and work by himself in a different country on a different continent. Now, here is the scoop. In Switzerland, a lot of it was wondering if maybe he is ill-advised from someone in his circle. I mean, you should do what you like, but also sometimes you gotta swallow your pride a little bit and compromise. And then there's a discussion saying, hey, to be honest, I think he's just a little immature. Not in a bad way, we all grow up at different rates. Hopefully a couple of years in the SHL being a pro but closer to home will help him become more independent and ready to live and work abroad. And this is an interesting situation because we don't normally see things like this. Like, normally hockey players that are in Europe and they're coming over, they're in the NCAA or they're playing in the AHL, we don't normally see many guys go through problems of homesickness or just an inability to sustain yourself independently. Now, I'm not just going out there and flat up saying, oh, that's what Lian Bichsel is. He's like, whatever. I'm not saying that. It's just kind of an idea that's being tossed out here on the sub, especially since it's like, hey, if people in Switzerland are already kind of wondering what this means and whether or not he is kind of immature, he's already been in the SHL for a couple of years, though. Right now, he's lighting up in the playoffs for Regla, and next year he's expected to come back to Texas and play in the AHL with an understanding that he's pretty darn close to joining the NHL. It was reported that he was having some difficulty adjusting to daily life in North America. He's still really young, so it makes sense, but maybe the Stars will make more of an effort when he returns to pair him with a teammate roommate to make the day easier. There also are a few other things. I mean, he has a reputation as someone who'll do what he feels is necessary. He's rumored to have felt isolated in the States and didn't feel a part of the Stars team, so he went back to Europe to get himself right mentally. Regla, his Swedish team, wasn't a powerhouse and was in danger of relegation this season. They went on a run, made the playoffs, swept the 1 and 2 seeds, and are currently playing for the title. Bichsel plays key minutes for this team, and it's rumored he skipped the juniors to focus on the SHL year. So this comment is actually pretty interesting because it goes out there with a great devil's advocate point of view. If Lian Bichsel straight up felt, hey, I'm not developing properly here, I can do better elsewhere, then it's on you sometimes to do what is right for you, especially if you really feel like you need this for yourself. If it goes against the grain, as long as what you're doing is proper for your development and your growth, then I have no problem with him exercising his right to go back to Regla, or to go back to Sweden, and play for Regla. Also, the fact that he has been playing key minutes and he has been one of the bigger parts of this blue line is noteworthy as well. We did talk about how there are a lot of guys on this blue line who are doing all right, but when it comes to defenseman points, I mean, sort it out over here. Kapla has 6 points, XGL Johnson has 6 points as well, Lian Bichsel is right in that territory too, so he's right up there as one of the more important guys that's being relied upon in this postseason run. So if we go back over to the Reddit, I mean, there are some people saying, oh, is it a toxic situation? Is it this? Is it that? And this is kind of the thing. The fact that he is getting punished for this, at the end of the day, if it's for a cause that Bichsel believes is right for him, then at least he's sticking by it, right? Already denying 2 calls, as it says right here, to go over to the World Juniors to stick around in Regla and still get that development against men. Honestly, for a guy that big, I can understand why he doesn't want to go down a tier in terms of physical competition. It's not like he has ever been like the top-tier point producer, but at the same time, because nationalism, especially in European hockey, is a thing, I mean, you can understand why it's a big deal in the eyes of the Swiss folks that, hey, he's not coming. He didn't agree to come. So he's now getting punished for 2 years from the national team inclusion for that. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Dallas Stars prospect Lian Bichsel getting suspended from the Swiss national team, or not suspended, but just excluded. He's not here. He's banned, pretty much, from Team Switzerland at the World Championships for the next 2 years. Article and the Reddit post will both be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read more of this yourself, but for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.